All right, world, welcome to another Facebook Live. I'm Sam Lichtenstein, one of your directors of analysis. I've got Ekta Raghavanshi, one of our South Asia analysts with me today. How are you, Ekta?
I'm doing good this morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in a different room than usual because five other members of our analytic team are in my living room right now. So I think you can see our Peloton in the background. But we're here for a more serious conversation, which is about Pakistan, which tragically it seems like you can't escape the news recently because whether it's politics, economics, security, the environment, I mean, the country is not having a good moment. So can you walk us through kind of where we stand at a high level?
Yeah, it's fairly complicated, but I'll just try to give an overview of the situation. So we have what everybody is calling, what I call it, a poly crisis in Pakistan. They have a political crisis, they have an economic crisis, they have a security crisis, and everything unfortunately has come up at this one is coming at in one point. Economically, especially, the country has very low foreign exchange reserves. It has a major balance of payment crisis which has been ongoing since the last year, and it's working with the IMF to come up with a plan. It's not being able to, due to multiple political reasons, mainly, but the effect of all of that has been very high inflation in the country, shortages of essential products, of medicines, problems for the traders, and all the problems that come with very high inflation and lack of funds to just service essential imports. Secondly, politically, you can say the country has been in a state of crisis since the last year, since in April 2022, when the former prime minister was ousted through the vote of no confidence, and he's been this unpredictable political force since. He is very popular, and he's been able to get these huge crowds behind him, organize protests, rallies, and pressurize the government to now he's pressurizing the government to call elections early, and he's using everything in his arsenal to do that.
And
So
Ekta, just to interject here, we're talking about Imran Khan,
yeah, okay,
for which I know you and I, of course, for better and worse, know, but for some of our listeners who may, for probably for good reasons, not follow Pakistan
yeah.
day in and day out. And this was, of course, also someone who was actually shot on the campaign trail, so to speak, last year. So, of course, made big news.
Yeah, very big news. He's been the primary leader in question. We talk more about the former president, former Prime Minister Imran Khan than this government, because of all the tactics that he's doing, everything he's doing to pressurize his government. He's using this economic situation to his benefit, which any opposition leader would do, but it's just very dire for Pakistan at this moment. And at the security front, we saw a very deadly attack happen in a mosque in Peshawar just this week. It was, I think, January 30th, by the extremist terrorist group in Pakistan, which is called TTP, or Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is, we also call it Pakistan Taliban. So, and they have ramped up their attacks since like November last year. They have only the intensity of attacking has increased. They're attacking in new and different cities. So the security outlook for the country is also very dire, and the military and the establishment is trying to uh, come up with ways of how they can control this. But it is a very complicated situation, because most of the Pakistan Taliban, they operate out of Afghanistan, which is outside their borders, and just the problems that come with dealing with such a complicated situation across your that comes from across your border. So yes, we have a very dire economic situation, a political crisis, and a security crisis for Pakistan.
Yeah, you're not painting a very rosy picture there, unfortunately. And, in my mind, thinking through like what's the worst case scenario here, I mean, all three seem like they're plausible scenarios. On the political front, you've obviously seen multiple coups
Hmm.
previously. Do we have another illegal transfer of power, whether it's led by the military, whether it's a popular revolution? It's conceivable. On the economic front, I mean, some of the dire statistics you laid out there, you can conceive of what just a complete government collapse of the financial system, of its ability to import goods would look like. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And then on the security front, of course, a country that's already been beset by terrorism for many years, that has recently seen some improvement. You could easily imagine how it would go back to kind of the years in the early mid 2000s where there were regular bombings in major cities all the time. So, if I guess my question for you is, should we be preparing for these worst case scenarios, or do you think there are other ways that we might see Pakistan develop that avoid some of these worst case?
I think on the political front, at least from what I'm seeing now, a probability of coup is lower this time. I mean, it's not. We've seen the military establishment at least saying publicly that it would stay out of politics. It did so the last year, even if it did not do it indirectly, but directly, you did not see a very active involvement of what's happening politically. Now the military, I would guess, is really busy paying attention to the security problem in the country. They want to use their resources properly to deal with all the security issues that like the Pakistan Taliban. They have other separatist groups like Balochistan Liberation Movement in the south of the country. So I think there is a little appetite also. Pakistani military at this point is not very popular with the public, and that is only because of the rhetoric that the former Prime Minister Imran Khan has used in his attacking of the government and even the security establishment. So I do not think there is there is a very high probability of a coup, at least a military coup in that sense. But you know that in Pakistan, uh, there is this invisible hand of the military. If they want a leader not to be able to contest elections, they can arrest the leaders, and they have these multiple things that they do behind the scenes that we don't know. But yeah, a very direct coup, I do not think at this point it is unlikely. The situations can flip if we think about very large scale violence in the country, large scale protests because of the economic situation in the country, and there is just no way out for this government to handle what's happening in the country. When we have those kinds of scenarios, maybe we can think about that, but otherwise I do not think. Economically speaking, the worst case scenario right now is the country defaulting, which is like almost every other headline. Pakistan is even closer to default than it was before. We see that every day now prop up. So what's happening is Pakistan is trying to work with the IMF, and IMF delegation or a team is currently in Pakistan. They're trying to come up with plans, but they have IMF is not very happy with what the government has done with respect to increasing the prices of fuel or energy prices, and cutting back subsidies and other structural reforms that they want Pakistan to undertake. They haven't done so to IMF's satisfaction, and IMF is not being lenient with Pakistan to say the least. And then the other problem with Pakistan's economic or financial support scenario is that it has dependent mostly on friendly bilateral creditors. We see the name of Saudi Arabia come up. We see UAE and countries like those who often come in and rescue Pakistan to say so. They'll put in some money in the State Bank of Pakistan and help them to solve their immediate balance of payment crisis. But this time around, we have seen some a little bit these countries getting a little bit firmer on their conditions to help the country. They are also keen on seeing very one they're keen on seeing political stability in the country, and they want Pakistan to actually undertake structural reforms with the IMF, working with the IMF, and they want to see those reforms being in place. They There is this whole problem in Pakistan of policy uncertainty because of political instability, and that is why you see IMF programs not being, I mean, stalling after some time, and that's been, I think, that's been a very big problem with Pakistan, and why its economy cannot get back into shape again and again. That the bilateral creditors, especially the friends of Pakistan, have are making it very very clear that they probably could have a limit to up to when they would support the country. So yeah, economically we talk about the worst case scenario could be a default. Let's see how Pakistani government deals and negotiates with the IMF, and we'll see something come up maybe in the next week or week after that.
All right. Well, I don't know about you, Ekta, but after laying that out, I'm just very glad that I'm not sitting in a chair in Islamabad having to work through these crises, because I don't even know where you start, but you've laid out there a number of really interesting scenarios. And for those of us listening that want to read more of Ekta's work and from other members of our South Asia team, you can visit us at ranenetwork.com. That's RANE network.com. I can see it at the little bottom of our screen here, Ekta. Otherwise, hope you have a lovely rest of your Friday and a great weekend.
You too, Sam.